Ta-da. Oh, and I've got to post the thingy from this morning too. So welcome everyone. I hope you guys are all having a super amazing Tuesday in July, halfway through July. But either way, it's a good month. Let's see, as soon as that pulls up, I will keep going. There we go. And I will go to share screen and start this whole process. I'm not going to optimize it for YouTube because when I do that, it doesn't do a good job at the live Zoom calls. So I'm going to optimize it just for the people who are on Zoom for right now. But anyhow, there we go. Welcome everyone to the SuperEZ beginners class. There was a guy who wanted to come and ask some questions about simplicity, but I don't know if our schedule's lined up or if he's even in America. So he may or may not be here tonight. Either way, we'll see. For those of you guys who don't know, I am a coach within SuperEZ and kind of just help people in the advanced membership group, kind of going over strategies and introducing kind of tools and indicators and really just mostly camaraderie, hanging out, sometimes taking trades, sometimes not, that kind of whole environment. So as of tonight, as you guys know, this is the beginners class within SuperEZ. So please don't feel intimidated. There is no question too big or too small. You don't have to wait till the last 10 seconds to come out with your question. You can definitely come out pretty early on and ask whatever you need to ask. So having said that, everything we discuss on this call tonight is obviously for educational purposes only. I am not your attorney. I'm not your tax advisor, your accountant person of any kind. I'm just a fellow person on the other side of this computer screen, kind of looking at trades, going over things with you, and evolving in our investment kind of journeys. So as you guys know, I'm super big on compounding. So I went ahead and put this in this little template as well. So you guys know that I don't care if it's this strategy, simplicity, one of my strategies, one of, a market maker strategy or any of a kind of strategy or tool that you're using. It's really important if you're not coming to the table with multiple six figures, or big money, essentially, to learn how to compound a small account. And small is obviously a relative topic. For some people, that may be a few $100. For some people, that might mean 5 or 10,000. But needless to say, both of those are considered small, in a quadrillion-dollar industry, right? So how you compound an account is make sure you have an amazing amount of kind of trading rules and having a trading plan, which includes everything from entries and exits and pip targets, pip protection, trailing stops, or trails, all that good stuff. Management is key, obviously. It should be exclusive to, this plan should be for one account, one strategy and a specific pair or few pairs only. This should not, in theory, apply to every single thing unless you're using the exact same strategy the same way. Have a trading schedule, including how many entries you take per day, per week, how many hours you'll trade, and so on. And the whole concept here, obviously, is to increase your lot size based off of your account balance each trading day, trading week, or trade that you take. And I'm pretty big on that whole withdraw your coffee money. I don't care if it's barely enough to afford the very expensive coffee drink I order from Starbucks after fees and all the other stuff between crypto transfers and all that good jazz. But it's really important psychologically to make sure that you're withdrawing weekly, bi-weekly, even just a few percent or a few bucks. It's worth your while to do so. And don't just wait till you hit that 6 or 7 figure mark. Withdraw at your next level in life. That means if you have a $19,000 car note and your account is now 19,600, please go withdraw that. I mean, you can start fresh. Be trusted, be a good steward with what you're given, kind of be trusted with what you're given. So any comments, questions, or anything along those lines in terms of that stuff? Anybody at all? Let's see, let me move that. Okay, well, while I'm stopping that share, how's everyone doing tonight? While I bring up my simplicity screen. Does anybody have any specific questions or stuff that they want to go over, pairs they want to go over? Maybe. Okay, oopsie. I'm gonna try this again. Hi, Donna, how are you?
Do you hear me?
I can hear you
good.
now.
How are
Waiting
you?
there.
Is there like a delay?
Yeah, there's a delay. Always a delay. Always. How are you doing though?
I'm good. And you?
Fantastic. Super happy to be there. Let's see who this is. I got Taylor messaging me. Go kayaking. But other than
Hey, Jenny, I think you made the wrong Donna a co-host.
That makes sense. I was like, that doesn't look right. Let me try this again. So who's the other Donna? Oh, okay. So that's a co-host. Who's this chick, and how do we not know about her? Hey, Donna, number
I
2.
don't know the other Donna. Hi, Donna.
I mean, you have total control right now, so you're definitely more than welcome to talk. Make a co-host. Okay, now you're co-host. Pretty sure you're good. Gotcha.
Yo.
You're welcome. Sorry about that. All right, guys. Well, if you guys don't have any massive questions, comments, all that stuff, somebody on YouTube actually had asked if I could go over how I would use this in terms of an indice, in terms of some of the fast moving things. And we talk about that quite a bit in the advanced group. I like a faster strategy in terms of scalping this. But in terms of using simplicity for an index, an indice, or any of your kind of really heavy instruments, and we'll just call them heavy, meaning the price is big. If you guys see over here, any price with that's large is going to be more costly and potentially more profitable to trade. Same thing with Bitcoin. Bitcoin is a bigger price, as you guys can see, but that one is just charged out at like a mini micro lot or whatever. I always say it wrong, well, whatever it is. So it's the same concept. If you notice, most of the currencies we trade, these are valued at 1.7. So
all right, tell me one over here now. You gotta get back.
oh, Derek, hold on. Unmute. There we go. Well, Donna muted me. She told me to be quiet. I hope you guys all heard that. But anyways, so what I was saying is this is something that I would do more on a smaller time frame. Now, again, if you guys have an account that's, let's say, $1,000 or more, and you're looking to compound, and on an indice particularly, you're looking to grow small amounts of money on, here we go, on an index. So that's anything like German 30, Australian 200, US 30, a NAS 100, any of these things right here with the larger kind of prices, essentially. You can definitely use simplicity. And you guys already know my settings in this. If I go to indicators, my settings on this are already kind of super public. So I have it set at 11, slightly different version than the one y'all have, but it does the exact same thing. Y'all just have the updated one, and mine is not updated. So everything else that's on here is totally the same as what you're using, but that's kind of a faster setting than the one I believe Pat is using. I'm not sure. I haven't been to his class in a hot minute, but I'm pretty sure it is faster than the one he's using. So ultimately, if I'm going to be using,
he
uses what side? It's 20, right, Donna?
uses the 20. Yeah.
All right, awesome. Thank you. Ultimately, so you guys know how this is set up. You guys know I have my 50 moving average on here, and then we have the tool, kind of keeping it very specific to this with purpose in mind. So the reason why we're doing this very, very clearly is I need it to be a little faster. It's still not going to be perfect, but not my strategy, no one's strategy is going to be perfect. But as you guys know, this doesn't, it's supposed to not repaint. It does have a little dot if it does adjust. So it will show you any movement that has happened in the market over time. So this is kind of what you're going to have it look like. You're going to get a signal come in, and of course you can have it come in on your phone. You can have it come in. There we go. Let's move that. Have it come in as an alert. You can have it come in a whole bunch of ways. But either way, once you get the signal come in, your job is to take it, and your stop loss would go above the previous high. Just like any other form of trading, you should be using some amount of structure. And to give you an idea of how this looks, this is German 30, 15-minute time frame. I wouldn't go, I think it kind of adjusts a little bit too frequently on the 5-minute and 1-minute chart, at least for me. And that's for somebody who loves to scalp these pairs. But if you're looking to kind of hold a position, you'll notice that you're getting approximately one signal a day kind of set up. It's not always at the same time frame. It'll be in London or New York traditionally, if I can go over any further. So this is somewhere where it repainted. You guys can see the blue dot. But you'll get approximately one signal every day, every couple of days, if you're using this on the 15-minute time frame on kind of the index pairs. So what I'll do is I'll go over each one of the major indexes and kind of go from there. Derek, you got background noise.
Oh, I'm sorry. I've been
You're
moving
okay.
around. I'll log out here and just leave on my computer. I was driving in. Apologize.
Oh no, you're totally good. Over in California, is it raining there like it's pouring here? He probably just muted himself. Okay, so real quick, US 30. As you know, US 30 is one of the most expensive ones on this chart in terms of how much it's going to charge and how much it's worth in your account. It moves really, really fast. It also means you can make or blow a ton of money very, very quickly. So if I drag and drop this on the chart, we'll take a look at what this one looks like. So kind of same thing. You'll see how often this indicator repaints or self-adjusts. I'll go to current price. So we do kind of have a gap. Mind you, I have a bot kind of practicing on this pair, so ignore those entries. It is just a demo account practicing a new bot. But other than that, you have a sell signal. This one, in theory, I mean, it didn't really hit a stop. You would have been able to protect it, again, always in theory. So not every trade is going to be perfect. And that's a 15-minute time frame, very, very fast mover. But for the person who is on YouTube and wanted to see this, and was messaging super much, this is it. This is exactly how it looks on US 30. You're looking about one signal a day at the 15-minute time frame, one every 2 to 3 days, and that's it. So you would take the trade, obviously, once it breaks a lower low. Preferably, you still want it to break a trend line. You want it to retest that trend line when you get a signal. So you shouldn't just take the signal all willy-nilly. You do want to take the signal with some amount of confluence, of some amount of I know what's happening on the charts and structure. So this was what was requested of me tonight. So guys, this is what I'm doing. Unless y'all have another specific pair or super specific question. And then I'll go to NAS 100, my favorite pair, my absolute favorite pair, because it's a little slower than US 30. However, it's a little smoother than US 30. I think it's less smooth, but it's slower. So it's not nearly as dangerous. 15-minute time frame, you get a break. As you guys can see, it kind of goes in your favor. This gapped up. So we would hopefully see some amount of a close. We'll see if we get it or not. Huge, huge signal here. Again, plays out perfectly. This one repainted as a sell. So this would be one of those disappearing things. So it would be a loss if you did not follow kind of structure. And even on this one, if you did follow structure, it would have came in. And odds are you would have got knocked out with a loss. To kind of give you an idea of what this looks like. So that is it. This is how this indicator will work on any of the index pairs or indices kind of markets. And in theory, this would work the same on the volatility markets for those of you who do the VIX. And that's it. Scott, do you know much about VIX? Let's see if he's there. Hold on real quick.
My microphone. Asking if I know much about simplicity.
Yes, I know about the VIX, the VIX.
Oh, the VIX. It's a volatility index. I don't know if we have access to that. Certainly my brokers, I don't have access to it, but what the VIX is based on options pricing. And when it looks like there might be usually more of a rapid downturn in stock prices, the VIX rises. And so you can trade that index. Generally speaking, when VIX shoots way up to unusually high numbers, you're pretty safe shorting the VIX because it doesn't stay high long.
Gotcha. So somebody asked if we could use this on VIX, and then, I mean, obviously the platform is different. So you have to kind of bear that in mind for those people who can code it or move it because they have the access to do that. I've got another message about that, but in theory, this would work comparably on VIX, right?
Well, I don't know that VIX really follows any kind of price structure. It's based on underlying volatility calculations in the options market. And the VIX, I think, is specifically S&P 500 volatility.
That's my understanding too.
Yeah, and negative volatility is much more highly correlated to it than positive volatility. So if the things that are moving the price up rapidly or especially steadily, VIX is extremely low. That's considered a low volatility environment, even though price is moving. So I just don't know if it follows price rules.
Okay. Well, so I can't answer that question. And I asked the only other guy I could think of who would know. For that person who asked about the VIX. I don't trade VIX. As you guys know, it's not on MT4. I know it's on Robinhood and stuff. But if it trades and moves like a candle pattern chart and it has any technical analysis, in theory, when you find working strategies and you particularly you do so with solid rules, with very valid, sound, solid rules, such as you're using ATR trading values versus I want this many pips or points. If you're using an ATR trading value as part of your rules, what your strategy is, in theory, should work on whatever instrument you're trading. And that would go with the same thing with this kind of indicator. If your strategy is good and your management, again, is something that's not individual to, hey, I'm going to go for 10 pips on USD JPY versus, I'm going to go for 10 pips on, US 30, which pretty much happens before you're even in or out of it. So it's you based off of ATR. So how much that pair moves at a time. And from my understanding, which is very minimal in VIX, it doesn't move very much. It moves very, very little, is what my understanding is. Because it's like 1% of, it's a very small percentage of the S&P 500. And the S&P 500, we have that on here. So that's $3,000 is what it's worth in terms of US dollars. So if it's only a fraction of a percent of this, you have to think it's going to move comparably to something like, an actual Forex pair. So that's really all I've got on VIX, unless anybody has anything better to offer at all, because I definitely don't. I definitely don't at all. Okay, but anyways, for the person who's asking about the indices, this is S&P 500, kind of same thing. I don't prefer this pair. I feel like it's kind of wicky. I don't know why. We all have our preferences, but for me, I just feel like the ups and downs are a little bit higher than something like NAS and something like US 30. And as you go back through it, I think you would find the same thing. It just jumps around a lot. So not to say that it can't be profitable. I just feel like it's moving kind of comparable to gold, which is very, choppy. It's very choppy. Even the ups are choppy and the downs are choppy. So I try to stay away from super chop markets like that. But this is it. So that is how it's kind of working and how it's moving. Okay. But other than that, I answered my YouTube questions. Are there anybody else that has any comments or questions? Because the person who was supposed to be on here was desperate for these are not here.
So can I just jump in and
Yes,
unmute?
please.
Hi, Jenny. Kumar here.
Hi, Kumar. How are you?
Fine, man. And my question is, like I think I posted there, Cat Swiss.
Okay, so somebody posted a CAD Swiss trade.
Yep. Pat was going through the H4 M15, this method.
Okay, so we'll pull down the chart.
Right. In the zone.
Okay.
Right. When the candles touch the H4 zones and you go down to M15 and you take an entry. Another way was to look at the M15 and look at two higher time frames like 30 and H1. So they seem to like all coincide. Just want your expert opinion.
Okay, so my expert opinion is I haven't traded a bunch of Forex pairs, first of all, and I also haven't played with Swiss in a hot minute. So you've got to kind of bear that in mind. But according to this strategy, you have an impulse move. So like, let's try to ignore anything on this chart other than price action. So you've got this kind of impulse move, a huge move to the downside. You could even call that a potential Elliott wave because you've got, a 5-wave pattern. So an ABC correction. So I'm just going to spit out all the stuff that I see as possible because here's how this works. It's you take this big pile of information and then you make a decision and say, well, what do I think of this? And is this enough yeses or enough nos? And then you make an educated decision. So I see like that possible 5-wave, 5-step Elliott wave, potential ABC correction. And I see that first and foremost. And this is one time frame. So we'll kind of go through the whole chart setup. I also see this impulse move to the downside. Okay, this may or may not be divergence. I don't have any other indicator on here, but by the way, it moved potentially. We also have a breakout move. So we made a higher high. So here's our candle. This would be a fractal break. We came in down and retested a zone and now we're pushing up. So our next target, like if I was going to trade this in any shape, way or form, what I would be looking at is kind of in this zone. That's not a whole bunch of pips from where price is at. That's a really small zone. So I would need a bigger zone for me to consider to take this personally. So
Okay.
let's now check the kind of higher times frames and let's zoom out, make the chart a little ugly and kind of see what we see. Clearly we're moving down, it's downtrending market. I'm going to go to the 30-minute time frame, scooch back over. Did you guys discuss this morning in class?
Not this bad.
Okay, gotcha. I was just curious. 4-hour time frame, again, super ugly. You are kind of at a really, whoever drew that box, did somebody draw that box? Huh. That's odd. Let's see if I can't undo that. Clear. Okay.
By the way, that was off his Mac.
That was not my Mac. My Mac is totally good, Derek. Telling you. Ooh, 4-hour time frame. So let's go back in. You do kind of, we rejected off of this previous point. So that's a strong area of rejection, right? That would be kind of like the double bottom. Hey, whoever's like super heart happy, you need to chill. Just an idea. Whoever's drawing on my charts. Thank you though for the love. Okay, so back to this bottom. See right here, kind of wick rejection, wick, and now we've kind of had this solid kind of rejection. I'm going to zoom in on these candlesticks. This is the 4-hour time frame. So if this is what he's talking about, how it's bouncing off the hot zone, which remember the hot zone, all the hot zone is a Fibonacci number. I don't know exactly which one per se, but that's all it is a Fibonacci number. So you kind of have a railroad bottom. You definitely have a doji, right? So this is a really strong indicator. This is an engulfing candle. This candle is twice as big as this one, right? So that would be a good indicator to kind of go up. And if I'm going off of this time frame, my next target is going to be this next kind of support and resistance, which just like we measured at the 15 pip zone, the 15-minute zone, that's only about 25 pips. So on a full Rex pair, that's not bad. But your stop loss was going to be pretty tight. So it's a 1-to-1 risk to reward ratio with the hope that it continues up. But ultimately that's a counter trend trade because this is going down on every single time frame. Huge move to the downside, came back up, kind of retest, pull back. We can definitely come up, but ultimately we're going down on most of the time frames. Down. Okay, so if you look at every time frame, it's moving down. So just know that if you do try to buy this, you're buying it as a reversal. You're buying it not necessarily as a reversal, but more as a pullback, right?
Yeah. Okay.
Is that what you see, or what do you see?
Yeah, I see something different from what you're sharing. So this is actually a downtrend, and
No,
we are
no.
catching a
It's
overall.
what do you see?
Yeah, I see a downtrend actually overall when you zoom out.
Well,
With
like I
the slight,
Yep.
the candles are coming down.
Yep.
That's
Candles
what I
are
see
going down.
as you zoom out. Yeah, and
So
it's a small
ultimately,
pullback.
that's true. That's what I see too.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
it's not a bad thing to trade against it. Just know that when you're going against the trend, you're trying to stop like an avalanche. I mean, it's not
Got you.
many people trade that way, and they may make way more money than you and I and everybody we know put together. So there are right ways to do it. It's not a bad way to trade. Just know that this could very well be this kind of retest into this zone. So if we were to draw a box in this area right here, this could, and we might not. If we break through it, we'd be looking for that break, retest, and then for it to go up. So I guess primarily because I've gotten pretty in love with the whole NAS 100 and US 30, I personally wouldn't put my money on a 25 pip area. Personally, better yet on a Swiss pair. However, what I would be waiting to see is I'd be waiting to see it kind of break here.
And there's some cat news coming out in 14 hours. Will that be a early effect on this?
Well, because the volatility in the market is so up right now, my recommendation is I'm not nearly as concerned with news, with the exception of NFP Friday, which I still kind of shy away from in terms of USD pairs as my own personal preference. The volatility in the market is up. So the ADR and the ATRs are up.
Okay.
So the impact of the news isn't as relevant. So if the market's only moving 20 or 30 pips or 50 or 60 pips in a day, and a news comes out, the news makes it shake 100 pips, that's going to shake you. But if the market's moving 100, 150 pips a day, and the news comes out, it's typically not going to make nearly as big of an impact, with the exception of the massive amount of political affairs, like, I don't know, the trade stuff with China, the stuff with our president and civil unrest, COVID nonsense. But because the volatility is so high already, that news at least hasn't been quadrupling the daily ADR. It's different. The news is behaving, is the market is responding differently to the news since this last 6 month
Okay.
worldwide nonsense.
Got you. Thank you, Jenny.
You are welcome.
Jenny, I
Yes,
just did a little bit of quick research looking at the VIX. It looks like you can trade it technically.
okay. So any technical analysis could, but does it have candles?
Oh yeah, it has candles, but because of what's underlying it, I wasn't sure whether it was tradable as technically, because it is derived from other things in a great degree. But it is a traded instrument, so it does seem to have levels. So,
Okay, thank you.
you're welcome.
I appreciate you very much.
Somebody said in the group the opposite of SP 500.
It's the opposite of SP 500.
Not quite.
Yeah, well, yeah.
There are inverse ETFs that are the opposite of S&P 500, but the VIX is strictly volatility on the S&P 500. It does tend to move up if S&P is moving down sharply. If it seems like there's risk of the S&P going down, the VIX goes up. But they're not directly correlated. It's sort of more of a perception sort of thing. As people are seeing risk in holding equities, they can buy the VIX as a hedge.
See, my understanding is like Scott. So it is not the ETF that's directly correlated to S&P 500, which is what my first understanding of it was, which was wrong. It's more perception based. Supposedly measured by volatility, but mostly by perception. So that's my understanding, which again is not expert level. Just to be fair, everyone, it's definitely not. I've never traded it, and so. But thank you, Scott, and thank you, Donna. Hey.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned about the hot zones. I just wanted to get some clarification on it because
Okay.
I've still been using like the triple arrow system. Haven't really gone to the new system yet, but I plan on doing it soon.
Okay.
And I just wanted to know the difference between like the hot zone and a support and resistance dot.
So the support and resistance dots is basically a mathematical equation based off of, and I don't know what it is exactly, and the different versions floating out there function slightly differently, albeit kind of comparably. Ultimately, the candle has stopped or stopped moving up by a certain number of candles, and started moving down by a certain number of candles, equals this line paints, and it can break through. Although the more recent additions are less repainting, so it's just fancy support and resistance. That's all.
And the
Um,
new ones are definitely
You
different
said it's
than the
like a
old ones.
Fibonacci as well. The hot zone
It-
is like a
Fibonacci. Yeah, Fibonacci is based off of, so the 100% and 0%, depending on if you're buying or selling. And then from what my understanding and playing with it is, one of them is the 61.8 and the other one is the 21 point whatever. So it kind of gives you that. So the middle of this would be 50%. And that's literally all it is. They're just fancy Fibonacci areas. And remember, Fibonacci to me is this elusive, ever moving line, right? So it has a value, but you have to know that it's consistently moving. So it's just a look at me zone. It's kind of like anything that would be comparable to quarters theories or even pivots. It's a zone that says, if we break the 61.8, we're going to keep going. If we reject off the 61.8, we're going to go down or up. So it's the same thing as any other form of, price, what is it, trend, okay, support or resistance, kind of any kind of zone whatsoever. It's the same concept across the board. There's multiple ways to use that concept, but ultimately it is the same concept.
and it moves like from the most recent high down to the most recent low, or vice versa, 0 to 100 basically.
Yeah, I can't so I don't know. So watch
Well,
this.
I mean, try pulling a fib from here down to there.
There we go. I'm infamous for that. So remember, because I was only showing this part of the screen, this made sense, right? That this is the top and this is the bottom. But if I was to pull this out and make it bigger, okay, that's that. So we're going to start here. We're going to pull our fibs on it to give you an idea of what this is. And don't expect it to be perfect, but there you go. Kind of give you an idea. It's a little crooked. Don't judge
Yeah,
me.
so it looks like it's based on 23% from the top and 23% from the bottom. That's what it looks
There you
like.
There you go.
Yeah, I see.
So not 21, 23.
100.
To kind of give you, that's all it is. So it's the 100% and the 0%, and then 23 and 23. So I was off, but I don't use fibs too much. So that's essentially all it is. But so right here, this makes sense. But keep in mind, the whole move is, this big, and people can measure this in so many ways that it's ever changing. So from the last wave, the last leg of this move, that's what it is. That's all. It's just that. So like I was saying to the guy who asked about CAD Chef, even without putting fibs on here, I would personally, before I took this as a buy, I wanted to break this level, right? I even drew a line in this level. Of course, I deleted it. And then I would trade it up to the next level. And because this is a slow moving Forex pair, that's not a whole bunch. That's 10 pips. It's not even, 15? It's just not a whole bunch of pips. It's 7 pips. Yeah. But those are the zones you'd be looking for. Is it to keep going ultimately? And each time it breaks through, you either stack it, okay, protect it, okay, or trim some off and then let it continue to ride.
Thank you so much.
You are welcome. And thank you, Scott. I could have swore it was the 61 and the 38.
It's just that it looked symmetrical, so I figured it must be.
It must, yeah, it does look symmetrical, which means, yeah, it would not be. Okay, so real quick, if for the chat, Tatiana said GCAD, we'll take a look at that. And then, hey, new to the system, what are the trend settings that you recommend? I already went over that. Mine is set at 11. Kumar, I looked at CAD Chef. Emmanuel, you've got to start with at least $150 for NAS, and that's bare minimum. And that's only if you know your accuracy. If you have never traded it, I would say go to demo for 2 weeks to a month. Eli, your broker does not offer MT4 mobile. Is there any other way to set up alerts to my phone? Your MT4 settings, so this should work. That's all this is. So you should be able to come here and do this. Your broker, your MT4 platform should allow that. So I'm not sure what that's about.
I think you can go to any broker that offers it, open up a demo account, download the mobile, and then you can set up for notifications to that. Even if your broker isn't offering it, I think you can log mobile into any broker's stuff.
Yes. hmm Yeah, as long as you just, with your phone on the MT4.
Yeah,
With
you
that-
can
what do you call it?
straight into either the Google Play Store or the Apple Store, and download the app directly from there.
MQL4 more than MQL5. MQL5 is faster, but it's still missing everything that we use. So, guys, okay. So real quick to keep going over questions, and then I'll go over GBP CAD and odd USD, just answering all the questions in the chat. You guys, I highly recommend you message in the call. If I wanted to trade NAS, I got you there. The private message. I don't know how to pronounce your name, but I would definitely go to babypips.com. And if you're honestly brand new, I mean, you can start with all the recordings, but the truth is babypips.com is going to be a one-stop shop. It's free. And just keep going through there. And then you'll at least get the foundational kind of knowledge. Okay, Stephen, if you can unmute yourself, I will answer you any question you have in terms of the indexes. Any questions at all, but you have to unmute yourself. Until then, I'm going to go over these other two pairs that everyone asked for.
Hello?
Hey, how's it going?
How you doing? Thank you for the question answering the Q&A.
You're welcome.
I just wanted to see the accuracy of simplicity on the indices, because I know like US 30 and SPX are like the most volatile pairs to trade. I just wanted to get an idea of the accuracy.
So this is live and it's recorded, but I already kind of clicked through that. I'll go through US 30. Which one do you like best? US 30 or which one?
US 30 is fine.
Okay.
They all move kind of the same, but US 30.
Okay. So if you've traded it before, you know that it kind of moves a lot and it moves pretty fast, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right, cool. So here's the deal. This is not perfect. No strategy is. I'm sure none that you've used thus far is perfect. And ultimately, you're still going to need some amount of, background knowledge in terms of structure. You're going to have to be able to see a trend line, see candles like wicks and breakouts and consolidation. So now that we move past the disclaimer, it's reasonably accurate, but it is a counter trend trading system. It is a reversal system. So unless your account is already several $1,000s, trying to hold through something like this could be devastating. You know that it's a very expensive pair to trade, right? So if you took this pair, if you took that trade, the drawdown on this trade, so let's talk the pleasant side. The pleasant side is you made, what is that? 54,000 pips. Hold on.
Is that the 1 hour time frame?
Nope. Did I say that? Okay.
Saw the
5,000.
15-minute.
This is 5,400 pips. Woohoo. That's exciting. And that's actual pips, not points. It's
Right.
54,000 points. It's 5,000 pips.
Okay.
However, the drawdown on this is 1,000. Well, we'll round down and say 1,300, 1,200 pips to give you an idea. So what broker are you using to trade?
FX Choice. So with FX Choice, they do indices in the
Ooh.
hundreds, not the thousands. So it's a little better.
But your leverage with FX Choice is going to murder you, sir.
You
Well,
can't,
it's 1 to 200 leverage, but you
Which
just
means-
can't risk. You can't risk as much with Saves Your Account, no.
No.
one's arguing. I'll let you take over, Jenny.
So I joke a lot and we kind of talk openly when people are talkative, but if you're going to use FX Choice, I'm a little bit direct when I say you're that and Awanda has a great reputation, but the reality is you're probably going to make more money driving for Uber that night than you can trading if you're bringing less than 10 grand to the table, because the leverage is not giving you a lot of buying power. So like if you were going to buy a boat or a yacht today or something, don't you want to come with the most cash? I mean, you want to come with the most buying power, right? You want to come with either the most knowledge, you want to come with the most money, you want to come with the most buying power. And your leverage, whether or not you use all of it, is your buying power. So on a 200 to 1 account, not to be super personal, but I don't know what your starting balance is, but I'm assuming it's got to be more than 500, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so that means you can trade a 0.01, and if they're only giving you 100, so if this is counts as hundreds of pips versus thousands of pips, what is your 0.01 worth on FX Choice?
My 0.01 is just 10 cents. So the difference between like KOT and FX Choice is like I would just put $1 lot on FX Choice versus a 0.01 on KOT. That'd just be the difference. The only thing I found out with FX Choice is why I switched it, because if you have $1,000 and your stop loss is like 3,500 pips, that's 300. That's like 35% of your account, which is like you can kind of lower that if on FX Choice. If I'm just using like 0.03, which would be $30, versus $350. That's the difference.
Well, to each their own. If it's working for you and you like them, great. I would recommend a broker that has at least 500 to 1 leverage for any of these. It's going to give you room. So let's go down to the smaller time frame. So even on the smaller time frame, we'll use that same move to kind of give you an idea. Any strategy, like if you have really great exit rules, you can scalp these pairs really well. But your exit rules have to be very unemotional and very unattached, meaning you're not going to get your feelings hurt if you got in and out of the market 7 times that day. Because look, on the good days where everything's winning, that's a beautiful day. Somebody bought a
Mhm.
yacht and everyone's really happy with their black leather seat, what is that? Corvette, right? This just bought a Corvette. But our strategy, yours, mine, or the next guy's, it has to survive this day. Okay. So when I teach and when I coach and when we go over like indexes and stuff in the morning classes, we talk, and I'm hoping that people are saying, this is what we're training for. Obviously, we're hoping for these days, and these days sure are beautiful. I mean, those are beautiful days. Everyone's happy. But if we make, let's say we made 20 grand and we gave back all of that here, well, that we're still sitting not very pretty at the end of the month. So this can work on a smaller time frame, but just know on FX choice, any reversal strategy, this is still 1,000 pip drawdown, and that's the 5-minute chart. So on your broker on a 0.01, I can't attest to what it is exactly, but you figure that's at least $100, and odds are it's more. So my understanding is FX choice does not do a standard lot is equal to a 0.01, kind of like CoinEx does. And I may be wrong, but I'm pretty sure I'm not, because I haven't traded with FX choice in a while, but this would blow your account. So this pullback, if I'm correct, is going to blow your $2,000 account. This one, it would blow it here.
Okay.
Because they do margin calls at what percent?
I'm not even sure.
Have you ever had a margin call?
No.
Then you're doing pretty good.
No, I haven't.
That's not a bad problem to have.
I usually just risk 3%. Yeah, I never had a margin call, so.
Okay. Well, high risk trading means you're definitely risking more of your account to gain more of your account. So it is about maybe using a different level of money and a different level of trading. Now, if you're, again, I don't know you from Adam, so I don't know what you're coming to the table with, but I do know if you're looking to compound or trying to trade this as a consistent strategy, it's possible. Just know that your management has to be on point. So this would be like a time where I repainted. This is a buy. Obviously, that's beautiful. That's perfect. I mean, everybody wants this move. I want that move. That one's perfect. This one, it went in your favor enough if you protect your trades, but depending on what your management rules are, you may not have protected that. And then of course you got knocked out. So if your stop was at the lowest low, you got knocked out. Same thing with this sell. That's probably 700 pips, depending on your protection rules or what your targets are. Odds are you got knocked out. This was a win. So it's just like anything else. So there's good, bad, and ugly. And I had margin yesterday with FX. Hold on, somebody's in the chat is saying something. Adrian, what was your what percentage did they call your margin at yesterday with FX choice? If you can say, somebody in the chat is talking about it. Because I'm pretty sure that theirs is higher, if I'm not mistaken. Theirs is higher. So some brokers won't start blowing your account until 50%. Some are 150, most are 100. Most of them are. But I can't say with any level of certainty. But this is what it looks like on US 30, 5-minute time frame. What time frame do you trade this pair on?
The 1 hour.
That's not scalping.
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
Okay.
no, I didn't say I was gonna scalp it.
Okay, I'm like, that's not scalping.
Yeah, I didn't say I was gonna scalp it.
Okay, cool. Okay, just making sure. So the person in the chat said margin called yesterday at FX, it was 40%. So that's what their account was blown at, was 40%.
40%. Okay.
So depending on what that's not going to be a very big loss. Not very big stop for any one thing. On the 1 hour time frame, if you're in buyer territory, depending on what your rules are, I don't know how you do what you do on the 1 hour time frame.
Yeah, I trade zone to zone. So, the breakout, retest, and
That's a good way to trade. Honestly, that's a very good way to trade.
yeah.
But this is what it looks like, 1 hour time frame. And most of the time you're gonna, so this happened right here. This is daytime New York. You're going to have time to protect it, in theory, most of the time, provided that your rules are sound, provided your management is on point. But you'll also notice we don't get any real signals for a minute.
It looks a lot safer in the 1 hour.
Safer?
Yeah, without there was a lot of wick rejection in the 5, I think. But
So I made it really ugly, super ugly.
Oh, okay.
There we go. It
Oh,
is
okay.
beautiful. No, it's beautiful. It's perfect. I mean, it's ideal. You're talking an entire week. You're talking, your house in the Hamptons or whatever it is that floats your boat. I mean, that's life changing. Half of that is life changing at a 0.05. It's, well, depending on your broker, but that's insane, right?
Right.
But you have to understand that a pullback on this is just as large. But so I don't know exactly how tight you keep your stops and all that other good stuff, but that kind of gives you an idea of how it works on the 1 hour.
Okay. Looks good.
That's it. Did you have any other questions in terms of simplicity for me?
No, that's it. I really appreciate it. I'm probably gonna, like I said, I have to buy a faster laptop. So that's gonna be 1K plus the program. So I just wanted to get a clear picture of it before I pull the trigger,
You're good. Oh, hey, by the way, I'm a Mac person. Derek on here and a few other people who aren't as cool as me, they vote Windows, but I vote Mac, just so you know.
You vote Mac to you. I don't have a Mac laptop money right now.
I'm just picking on it. It's okay, I'm just-
Ask her what do the technical people use.
They all use Windows because they're cooler than me.
So, and that's like an i5. I was looking at an i5, I think 512 gigabytes or something with a solid state drive is what I was told.
Yeah, you want to get an SSD, or
Right.
you could use the AMD Ryzen 7 is a sweet spot right now, and you can get an SSD with the ASUS. It's a buck kicking machine.
Drives are really good, and
Okay.
they get power compared to the Intel machines right now. They're certainly winning out on the price or the performance per watt.
Yeah, I
So
put
the
together,
Ryzen processor is better.
get the Ryzen 7.
The Ryzen 7.
It'll kick butt, take no prisoners. I put one, set one up for a friend last week, and I wanted to keep it.
Hey,
Okay.
Derek.
What about the gigabytes?
Yeah,
The RAM or whatever.
I
Okay.
think I forgot how much her machine had. It was at least 16 gigs of RAM and
If you're doing
512 SSD.
get 16.
Okay.
I usually like more RAM on my laptop, on my machines. I usually go 32 and above, but it's personal.
Okay.
But 16 will be good enough for MT4, I guess. What do you say, Scotty?
4 gig will run MT4 just fine, but if you're going to start to open many browser tabs, that's what's really RAM hungry.
Yeah.
So that's what's crashing my whole life then, Scott?
Well, MT4 has a really lightweight footprint, really. It's just that it doesn't handle threads well.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
When you get into things that aren't coded well for running the loops through all of the data, that's when things get really bogged down.
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha.
And you can't control ill behaved written applications. That's all on the developer.
And in your case, Jenny, that's all on the VPS, so.
Yes.
So my two tech boys, what kind of, Derek, you want to message me what kind of computer I should buy next? I need a laptop to travel with that's light and powerful.
Oh yeah, I'll show you the one that I put together for Helen. It's I wanted to keep it. I didn't want to send it to Kuwait. It's really nice. And then her tech guy there tried to buy it off of her.
Check out
And it's affordable too. It was only like $800 or $800. It kicked butt. I was way better than my laptop that I spent $1,200 for.
I
Nice.
think HP is now coming out with some Ryzen machines that are $100 that are really nice.
Man, the Ryzen 7 kicks butt. Take no prisoners.
Nice, guys. All right, somebody in the chat is asking me to get back to the pair, so I will real quickly get back to that. So thank
you guys.
You're welcome. Thank you. So the questions in the chat real quick. MetaTrader 4 on Mac. I use a VPS. It's got its ups and downs. Adrian, I need corporation internet at my house. And literally there's one right down the street and they told me they could not put business internet in my house. So if you have a trick that I don't know, you can by all means tell me all about that trick because I could probably really use it. No joke. But
Ask
back
them
to
if they
trading.
could run fiber to your house.
I do. I have the hardwire optic fiber, supposedly the best on the island, and it's not. It's the worst best ever. I'm telling you. So, Real quick, last three pairs, because as you guys know, I've got traveling and suitcases and munchkins to check on. Having said that, we're going to start with the odd USD, kind of start at the top of the charts. For the person who had asked, I'm only going over the pairs that you guys had asked about. So first thing I'm going to do, right click, go to objects. I'm going to right click. I knew this. Control A, delete all of those, hit close, and now I'll refresh. So Australia is 200. We know that the US dollar was very, 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 very strong today. It was reacting a whole bunch. But other than that, like, what is it going to do now? It's no secret that I have not been trading a bunch of Forex pairs since the beginning of COVID. It's just that's not where the money has been at. It's not where the stability has been at. So I've traded a whole bunch of GU, but not a whole bunch of almost anything else. But looking at this again, ignoring all symbols, all of the, indicators on our chart, we kind of have a huge, triple top, quadruple top crown formation, but we did break through that. We made a higher high, and that has a value. But I am going to go to a higher time frame, and again, it's super, super ugly. But this is a huge consolidation zone. So how you trade that, you need to be mindful of that. Is that even if we were to take a buy, we would need it to break out, and then this is, it's still not a huge zone. I mean, it's bigger than the other thing we just looked at from where price is currently at till the next high. It's 75 pips, but that's a slow moving pair overall. So ultimately 1 hour is saying buy, 30-minute is saying buy, but it's kind of over. The move is already passed. So if you had gotten in down here when you first got the signal, you got your pips out of it. But now, I mean, unless you're going to be the person who times the top, it's not a valid, this is not a valid trade. So for the person who asked about that, I don't know the signal that was called, and I don't know what you were in. Let's see if I can't find your message. But I do know that right now I see no valid trade. I don't currently see a trade. So if anybody else sees anything else, by all means, let me know. But otherwise, that's what I'm seeing. So I'm in for a sell before the signal is sent out. I just want to see if I'm seeing what the coaches are seeing. We all trade a little bit differently, but that's what I'm seeing. This move has played out. So even if we go to the current candle, you're at a high, you've got a wick. I mean, unless you're going to time the top to kind of get a scalp sell, you're in the zone, and I don't see a valid trade at all. So going to GU, one of my favorite, I think my only favorite, this one in EN pairs. I know that we kind of broke out. We were really doing super great. We broke out. So I caught some of this move as for the buy. This fortunately at least moves some, but this is a downward trend. So you guys have to kind of be, aware of that. So that's 40 pips. That's worth taking, especially if you're scalping. But as you know, price has been kind of going down. You have a huge double top. You're in a seller's market on the 4 hour and on the 1 hour. You haven't got the signal yet on the 4 hour, but this is that kind of double top impulse move. Where this is your flag formation, your retest, if you will. So if we get this wick interaction, which is what we're getting now, we would expect to see this to continue to the downside. If we continue to make higher highs, which means we need it to break this level, then we're looking for a buy, a continuation, which means our next zone would be about 60 pips away. Not a bad way to be overall. We would need to break that trend line for those of you who can kind of see trend lines. But until we break that, we just have that perfect break, retest. We're looking for the continuation of the downside. And that's all. Let's see, GJ and then GCAD. I don't really trade EG anymore for that person who asked at all. I try to perfect it because it was the most expensive pair, and I'm not a huge fan of that pair. And I honestly never did super well with it, to be super honest. So GJ, it's kind of similar story. If this is a 4 hour time frame, we broke out to the top side. We don't even have a buy signal yet. We have made the impulse to the downside kind of correction. So now we're in this middle here. We don't have a clear, it's very comparable, but
because it was a pullback. Shit.
Francis, could you go to gold in the 1 minute? Yes, in the 1 minute I can. So there you go. That's GJ on the 4-hour time frame, kind of zoomed in, nice trend. So if we reject, we know we're going to the downside. If we break it, we're going to the up. But that's where we're at. We still don't have a buy signal on Simplicity yet. So for this strategy, that's what I'm seeing. But ultimately, we need the break. Otherwise, we're looking for the continuation to the downside. Continuation all the way. And for Tatiana, let's take a look. GCAD, similar story. We don't have that sell signal yet. We do have that beautiful buy, perfect all the way. This is a little different though. We don't have a clear, this one's different because we're in the hot zone essentially. Double bottom on the 4-hour time frame, kind of perfect. If we get that measured move, our next target is going to be quite a ways away, which would make this an ideal buy if we get the continuation to the upside. But you guys know, for all of you who have traded with me or seen anything the way I see it, we need to break that upward trend. If we don't break it and we reject it, you're looking for the continuation to the downside. So that trend is anywhere in here. We need it to break and retest to continue.
Hey, Jenny.
Hey, Waddy.
Somebody on YouTube is asking if you could look at UJ when you get a chance.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. All right, UJ and gold, and those are the last two pairs because I said tonight was going to be a super short call. That's a possible head and shoulders. That my favorite Scott in the whole world. The only close friend Scott that I have in the whole world. But yeah. I had to pick on you for a minute.
Hey now.
I know, right? I was like, wait a minute, do I have any other close?
Well, best friend, that's for sure.
I know, right? I was like, I don't think I have any other Scott, close friends at all. None. But he's
Donna's throwing darts at you. Donna's throwing darts.
Who's coughing? Wait a minute. What did I miss? Is there another Scott on here? Or is that Donna?
That was me.
Oh, well, your name isn't Scott last I checked. Sorry.
Oh, okay. Oh, name Scott. Okay.
I said name Scott. Did nobody
Okay. I guess both of me and Donna's mind were thinking friends, period.
Oh, that's it. You guys are mean now. That's it. Okay. But I meant Scott, so the record is now clear. 1 minute time frame on gold. This is what we're looking at. This I don't really play with gold a whole bunch, but the 1 minute time frame, if we break this low, I'm selling. I would be selling, and I would sell heavy. That's a beautiful consolidation zone. Then again, if we reject off of that, you know that we have a beautiful zone to buy up into. So if we break this, and remember, we want the break. We want something. We don't want a wick. We want a momentum candle to break that zone over and over again, and that's all we're looking for. So 1 minute time frame, that's not a big picture. So I mean, that has kind of a high spread, at least on some brokers, to be trading it on the 1 minute. That it doesn't really match the average trading range on that. So just be mindful of that. 5 minute time frame, you've got a sell signaled, buy one repainted. You've got a really strong possible setup on this. And then there was news that had something to do with gold today. I think the China stuff was supposed to impact gold a whole bunch, but you've got a good potential. You've got a lot of rejection in this area. So even if it's only a pullback, high probability trade for a quick sell. Not a forever sell, just a quick sell. Quick sell. So, and then last but not least, UJ. If I can find it, maybe. And for everybody in the chat, thank you. I super appreciate it. I'm trying to keep it up a little bit more often, at least on these beginner calls. A little bit more often. So UJ, Donna, did they say what time frame on YouTube?
No, I don't. No, they did not.
Okay, so 4 hour time frame. Remember, US dollar kind of had a pretty strong reaction today. But here you are kind of at the very bottom of an area. You're in a Fibonacci hot zone, right? You have this almost head and shoulders, really ugly, but that would be a really crooked shoulder. You do have some support that says, hey, this could potentially buy impulse to the top side, pull back, and now you're in this area. But for me, I don't see it super well. Let's go down to the 1 hour. I still see this kind of move to the downside, this retest of this zone, right? So it's a beautiful zone. if we break through this, and I'll draw 2 lines just to make a box because it's easier on MQL4, but it's easier on MT4 to draw this way than to make a box. But if we broke through this zone, I know where my next target would be, which would be way up here. But until we break through this zone, I would need to see a better confirmation than just to buy all willy-nilly. If I go down to the 1 hour time frame, the 30-minute time frame, it's saying sell. That would make more sense because we have a nice move, came back, retested, looking for a sell. But either way, I don't see a super strong sell. Is anybody else seeing anything different than that? Because I see upward momentum candles, right? We definitely have a sell signal, but where candles are going up. So we have a kind of a retest. We have a nice area to come down to, anywhere from 20 to 40-ish pips, give or take, right? But I would need a little bit more confirmation before I took that. 15-minute time frame is also saying probably sell. But candles are moving up. So
That's looking really zony to me.
yeah, I don't like it. It's just too much in that area. So I need it to break. For those of you who are asking about UJ, I need it to break that area. Because if we go to a lower time frame, it's going to be the same story. So we need wait for it to break out of that zone. And once you have that, then obviously you can make your choices. So, and that's it.
And not just break out like this, but break out and make a higher, a lower high, and then you can take a trade down.
Which means we're here. I'm gonna do, but keep that there for a second, Scott. Pretty please. That means you need wick interaction. You need something special to happen here. So because we made a lower low, we need the rejection. We need the wicks here, right? We need the break of a trend line, a retest of the break, retest, and then a go. And the same thing with the buy. We can't just have it break out because technically price breaks out all the time, over and over and over again. But we need something to happen after it breaks out, right? It's not just a simple breakout. It's a little bit more than
Roughly 70% of breakouts fail ultimately out of ranges. You finally get one that goes. So you need to have confirmation that it's going.
70% of breakouts are fake outs.
Yep. You know, they can be little wicks, you know, like that guy there, like these here, you know. And, you know, we get, that's a fake right there. This one comes down, retest, moves up. We can maybe get something there, but I don't know how big that move is. And that's really kind of toward the top of the range anyway, because I kind of draw that range even a little bit further north than that. But I like to have it so that I get a number of interactions like this with the top of the zone and some breakthroughs and coming back in. I like to see this kind of stuff around my ranges. That tells me that I'm in about the right place, that they don't stay. They're fake outs.
Well, last thing I'm going to discuss before I go finish is this. So he just said about 70%. So you guys know that my mind kind of thinks a little differently, for better and for worse, I'm sure, as you guys all know. But that also means when you see this zone, let me get out my annotation tool. So if you, let's say you saw this zone here, right? Let's say this is when you get to the chart, and to the best of your ability, pretend nothing else is after this. You would know, I mean, with reasonable amount of certainty, that you're not done with your fake outs yet. So you would know by the time this happens, no, this is still part of the fake outs. You would know it's not there yet. So if you're going off of that whole 70%, or what I was taught in IML was the 80%, channels and zones are touched anywhere from 8 to 9 times, right? Is kind of the theory, which means that there's a certain percentage of breakouts that are fake. So if it's got 8 to 9 touches, depending on if it's a zone or a channel, you would know by the time you see this anywhere in this area, you haven't had enough touches yet to take it for the breakout. Just a different way.
Although that's technically consolidation right there.
Yeah.
Just acting as a flag. So it's a time-wise consolidation before it takes this move north.
But then, so starting from here, you need so many touches before you would look for the breakout. And if you're going off of 8 for a channel, 9 for consolidation, it would help you to avoid taking those first 2 or 3. Because you need 9 touches supposedly Granted, that's another one of those random theories that are done by somebody really smart, but just something to think about. That's all. So, but all right, guys. Hey, I'm not going to ask for any more questions tonight. As you guys know, we're kind of heading out, but thank you for everybody who steps up. Thank you, Stephen. Thank you very, very much, Scott, Donna, Derek, and everybody else who constantly talks and participates. If you're in the advanced membership group, keep posting screenshots. You guys are doing amazing. I've been seeing some of your setups. Actually, I've taken a couple of them because I haven't been in front of my charts as much. So that also means it's we the people all working together. So that's kind of awesome. I'm so proud of you, seeing what you guys can do, seeing how you guys see the charts, even the people who see it differently than me. It's really awesome to watch you guys all grow and work together. So as for everybody else who are private messaging on Zoom right now, thank you. I super appreciate you. It's good to hear from you all too. I hope you have an amazing night, and I will talk to the rest of you on Thursday. Otherwise, have a great week. Thank you, and God bless.
Good night, all.
Thanks,
Bye,
Jenny.
guys.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Jenny.
Scott. Thank you, Barbara.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye, all.